Oh dear God, here we go again. Welcome back to the show and Happy New Year, everybody. Thank God 2026 has gotten off to such a slow start, am I right? What a relief. Nothing but peace around the world and happy people everywhere with not much really happening at all. Yep, all quiet on the home front, boys. Nothing to see here. Prices are down, employment is up, wages are up. The new Avengers movie will, I'm sure, be fantastic, and games from developers everywhere just look so awesome. Yes, indeed, gentlemen, things are great. And because things are just so good, we actually have nothing to talk about this week, so you can all relax. We will not be doing our traditional examination of some fundamental dystopian existential threat to entertainment as we know it and scaring lots of people. Instead, we're just going to do a fun puff piece on something totally innocuous that could never possibly harm us. AI! Brace yourselves, like, comment, subscribe, because, once again, for the 7th year in a row, we're going deep inside. Just time for a quick recap of the week, and it's been a busy one. A stupid one, really, more accurately, but sure, yes, a busy one as well. Not that I've really been paying attention, I've been way too busy with my old Xbox 360 and a copy of Lost Odyssey that I picked up recently. Believe it or not, I actually missed this banger the first time around, and I've been sort of in the mood for, I guess, classic Final Fantasy X-ish JRPGs to play since I finished the Bravely Default remaster, and though I've only just started it seems pretty promising. Have any of you guys finished this one? Let me know in the comments. Lost Odyssey, W or L? Moving on, in actual news, Highguard, better known as Not Titanfall 3, dropped, and geez, you will never guess what happened. Apparently, it's not great. Oh my God. Insane. Absolutely insane. Yes, tragically, sadly, the highlight of the Game Awards post-show has lost 80% of its players after barely 24 hours. I know, it's a total shocker, boys. Why, if I didn't know any better, I'd say it's obviously because everyone is probably sick to fucking death of overpriced limited lifespan copy pasta hero shooters with derivative gimmicks and gameplay that was already boring when it debuted over 10 goddamn years ago. But that couldn't be it, right? I mean, someone would have pointed that out. Were that the case, right? Yes. Rest in piss, bozo, pack watch, etc. Good riddance, get fucked, go to your room, and don't come out again until you've got Titanfall 3. And finally, this week, oh boy, let's talk about Ubisoft, the guys whose biggest innovation in the past decade was trying to sell Assassin's Creed games using controversy instead of good gameplay. Well, that worked out really well, didn't it? To any normal people unfortunate enough to be paying attention to this perverse, greed-ridden corpo filth over the past couple days, you may have noticed that they seem rather determined to off themselves in spectacular fashion instead of trying anything that might, I don't know, like, result in their company shares maybe not dropping to less than a fucking dollar, perhaps? You know, crazy stuff like maybe taking a few risks, making literally any attempt at innovation whatsoever, or putting in just a little bit of effort to at least give the appearance that you're developing games for this fucking decade. And would you believe it, turns out that strategy was just as effective as ex-Respawn devs' ingenious plan to release Not Titanfall 3. Oh, Slop Soft, how have you failed? Everyone, basically. Let's run the numbers. 7 games delayed, 6 games canceled, including the Prince of Persia remake, 2 studios closed, and over 200 jobs cut, and they are just getting started. And if for some reason you didn't think it was already time to start carving the tombstone, their shit-dick CEO got up and debased himself in front of the gaming press to offer this comforting little bit of rhetoric.
We are transforming Ubisoft's operating model to produce exceptional quality games on the 2 core pillars of our strategy: open world adventures and games as a service, native experiences.
Well, considering you don't do either very well and no one likes games as a service anyway, regardless of the freak chance someone makes a good one, I think it's probably time to call it a wrap for good old Slopsoft. What do you think, G's? Maybe this would be a little sad, Until you remember that they haven't made anything worth playing in maybe at least 10 years, and also, isn't this the company that just a couple months ago was telling us we better get ready to not own our games anymore? Turns out they just meant no one will own any of their games, because pretty soon they'll no longer be making them. Moving on, for our main story tonight, due to Corpo's unrelenting efforts to get us to pay money to drown ourselves in slop, it is high time we talked about AI.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
At first, I was largely sure most people, video game fans especially, were of one mind on AI slop. That mind being that it's slop and we should send it straight to hell. So perhaps foolishly, I thought we wouldn't really need to address it. Yes, I know. Unfortunately, it seems I was rather stunningly incorrect on that point. The unavoidable contradiction at the heart of AI slop in video games has led, perhaps unsurprisingly, to the inexorable effort by Gigaslop megacorpos to keep shoving it down our goddamn throats, which of course was immediately followed by redoubled efforts to defend said throat fucking by all these shallow, pathetic, mealy-mouthed, morally bankrupt inhuman monsters that lead those very same creatively destructive companies. And now, as a result, whenever I read the news, I'm pretty much constantly puking. Perhaps you are feeling something similar. But let's back up a minute, take a look at the big picture here. What we have here, folks, is basically an old problem with a brand new, particularly awful face. Essentially an "aw shit, here we go again" scenario. Yes, sadly, friends, looks like we're all in for yet another insufferable episode of the classic capitalist dilemma. What do you do when your customers don't want your product anymore and your business model is so inflexible that it doesn't allow you to offer one that they do want? This problem has been showing up here and there throughout the last few decades, if not longer, as it's partly just a side effect of the basic functions of our ridiculous economic model, endless growth expectation, the deranged insistence on commodifying literally everything, etc. But it's only really been something we need to seriously address in recent years, due largely to the acceleration of technology and its inevitable effect on modern markets, which is, sadly, in short, violently shitty. The eternal conflict between corpos and customers has always been thus, so naturally they're once again forced to try to find a way around it, or perhaps more realistically, a way to trick us into allowing them to fuck us harder.
Go ahead, Mom, f me right here in the Best Buy.
As you likely all are well aware, corpos are required by shareholders, by the market, and effectively by law to maximize profit. They do that in many ways. But when it comes to the entertainment sector, the clearest, most noticeable method is this. They make a product and sell it to us. Pretty simple. How much money they make is directly tied to how much it costs them to make said product and how many people want to buy it. The lower the cost to make it, the more people that buy it, the more profits they make. Very simple. We all get this. In the video game industry, this looks like companies deciding to make Candy Crush clones instead of Concord. A Concord costs hundreds of millions to create, and as we saw, can very easily fail and make nothing. A Candy Crush clone, on the other hand, costs about $3 to make and brings in potentially billions. You can see the problem, right? Or the problem for us customers, anyway. Thing is, the less money you spend on something, typically the shittier it is. And the shittier it is, the less people that want to buy it. Unless it's something like mobile games, which are already slop before we had a word for it. Oh, who knew?
We now have the ability to make games that are boring and stupid.
Freemium. The mium is Latin for not really.
Your costs go down, but revenue goes down too, so you need to sell more to make up for that shortfall. If you make it too shitty, you might not sell enough, but if you make it too good, you won't make enough profit, because even though you may sell more than you otherwise would have, the cost to make something that good, more often than not, kills your legally obligated profit margin. It's not that they don't make money, it's that they don't make enough money. We want a good product, but they don't want to spend the money required to give us one. The two goals, as you can see, are practically mutually exclusive. Girl, it's an old song. The lyrics never change, just the tune, shaped by the tides of whatever economic hellscape we currently are living in. Broadly, the clear solution has thus far usually been to find some happy medium where you determine the shittiest that your product can be while still managing to be just good enough to sell the number of units required to make you money, with the least possible expenditure of effort and resources. Whenever that happy medium is able to produce a product that's generally pretty decent, that most people like, all is well, no problem, you end up with a period of time like the 80s and 90s. Hooray! Now, I explain all this not because I just love giving condensed baby's first econ lectures, but to remind everyone that while, yes, Games and movies were generally good back then. You're not imagining it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It wasn't because CEOs somehow, for some impossible to know reason, miraculously cared about creativity in the before times. No, obviously not. It's because at the time, creativity was simply the cheapest tool for extracting money with an entertainment product. It's just basic math, basic formula spreadsheets, that kind of shit. Numbers go up. They did not actually care about making good art in the distant past or for the quality of the products they sold. No one's ever cared about that. It only seemed that way because the best, most profitable way to sell something at the time was to make it actually good. It was a coincidence, nothing more. Do not attribute altruism to economic circumstance. Stuff being dope back then was merely incidental, rarely on purpose. At the time, if you wanted a customer to buy a game or pay for a movie ticket, the game had to actually be good. The movie had to actually be worth watching. You couldn't use an algorithm to convince audiences that it was if it wasn't. You wanted people to pay to go see a movie? Well, you had to make a good fucking movie. There was just no other way to do it. There were no shortcuts back then. That's the only reason they did it. And since there weren't really shortcuts to making something good, turns out shit, they actually made stuff that was good. And they've been fucking pissed about it ever since. And they never stopped looking for shortcuts. Tragically, technology has evolved now to a point where it's able to provide corpos with exactly what they want now. Those shortcuts that we notice, because turns out, oops, taking shortcuts makes things bad. Oops! I'm sure you can see the problem. That really started to become an issue as we moved into the aughts and things managed to get worse, certainly not better, as customers were drowned by the shortcuts of that era, an increasingly perverse maelstrom of endless sequels, reboots, and nostalgia mining. And that, as I'm sure many of you recall, was decidedly not great. The reason was straightforward. Recycling old ideas had replaced genuine creativity and talent as the cheapest and safest way to make money, and corpos proceeded apace with that direction, heedless of the increasingly obvious reality that their customers were already sick of it. Typical myopic and slop-slinging mentality, there was no profound change of heart or policy, no selfless, inspired adjustment to a business model, and certainly no supernatural nocturnal visitations by strangely benevolent spirits, just business adapting to changing circumstance. Nothing more. After that, circa 2009 or so, around the rise of social media and the broad acceptance of the internet, it happened again. But this time, something profound really did change. Something inside us all died. Social media killed it. And while I don't claim to know what it was, I don't think it's coming back. Judging by how manipulatable we all almost instantaneously became, it seems humanity, as it turns out, was collectively simply too stupid for the internet. We can't handle mass instantaneous global communication. It broke our primitive, already struggling mammalian brains and allowed quantity to finally become, by pretty much any calculation, reliably more profitable than quality. Not better, mind you, just more profitable. It suddenly was far cheaper to focus on just making a lot of garbage instead of making a few things that were really good. Turns out drowning customers in slop and then unleashing an army of bots, influencers, algorithm-targeted ads, and corporate media to gaslight people into believing it's not slop, if only long enough to extract some money from them, is actually way cheaper and makes much more money than just simply making something fucking good to begin with. It isn't now, and never has been, about satisfying customers or providing them with quality products. It's always been about nothing more than finding the cheapest way to make the most money. And in the 2020s, oh, lucky us, that thing is now AI. I think special thanks are in order to two gentlemen who helped make the entire Gigaslop era possible. The first is Sam Altman, who's totally not using your photos to do weird shit like train slop bots to generate child porn, and Elon Musk, a 12-year-old Nazi 4chan poster stuffed into the body of a geriatric rapist. Turns out that with the help of these two fine, upstanding gentlemen, the new result is so monstrous, so hideously anti-human and detestable that almost no one is left that can ignore how shitty its effect on everything is, especially the entertainment products we all like to consume while we're desperately trying to find a reason to remain alive. And thus, we all marveled at our two kings and their collective genius as they gave birth to Gigaslop. So, now we've got a rapidly worsening situation where what people want is completely and utterly divorced from what corpos want to sell them. Uh-oh. This whole AI nonsense is really just another in a long line of stark reminders that whether we like something, or if you prefer how good something is far more often the result of market forces and how they compel businesses to operate than it is a function of something silly like companies hiring serious artists and creative talent deeply concerned with genuine craftsmanship and creating unique art to drive product design. Successful companies in the entertainment sector rely on being very good at making you and your customers in general forget this. But lately, the slop is just so fucking slop, and their ability to control the perception of it is actually rapidly spiraling beyond their ability to deal with. And so now we're back here again with game companies and customers once again set on an unavoidable collision course. AI makes money, so they want it, but it also destroys art and makes a cruel mockery of creative human endeavor, so we the customers do not. And thus, geez, the stage has been set for us all to find out what exactly happens when unstoppable profit motive slams headlong into an immovable human need for real art and sincere creative expression that doesn't make us feel like something is crawling out of our skin. Somehow, I don't think schizophrenia-inducing chatbots and crude porn generators are gonna be enough to convince people it's all worth it. Yikes. Now, back here in present day, boy, they are not going down without a fight. We've all seen the mustering of the Slop Defense Brigade from Microsoft's guys trying to convince us it's the future, to AI bizarrely taking center stage at places like CES, despite still being unable to offer us any compelling reason to use it. Shit has felt a little paradoxical for a while. And no, Elon, your shitty Twitter chatbot generating CSAM for your coterie of pedo freaks with lowly avatars doesn't count. Sorry. Guys, just take a moment to think about how seriously deranged it is that we're being told that AI is simultaneously the future and will be necessary for all games going forward, but also you lose a Game of the Year award if you use it? Oh, right, of course, that makes sense, and when anything makes this much sense, well, you know there's a scam somewhere. Either way, it's clear that they are not giving up on convincing us that we should like this garbage. As I hopefully just did a good job of explaining, video game fans, or fans of anything really, and the gigaslop corpos that abuse them were always set to collide on this AI issue. AI slop is nothing more than the latest in a long line of increasingly desperate and inadequate shortcuts corpos have been utilizing to get away with selling us worse and worse products while making themselves more and more money. AI slop is not a glitch, geez, it's the latest evolution of capitalism's incentive structure. We were always going to get this. We were always going to end up here. Just like the never-ending Game of Thrones copy pasta of the teens and the nostalgia bait hell of the aughts before it, AI is simply the latest thing that saves corpos money and helps them increase profits by giving them shortcuts, so they're going to fucking choke us all with it. And since that's the only thing these soulless mongoloids give a fuck about, they are tripping all over the other piggies in the pen as they rush to cram it into every game possible. They love it. Problem is, we hate it. Video game fans and pretty much every human being with a soul have been near unanimous in their unilateral condemnation and hatred for the torrent of inhuman, self-destructive, anti-art AI garbage corpos have been hosing us all down with since the moment it became clear that there was even a slight monetary advantage to doing so. AI slop ruins video games, but saves money for the companies that make them. Therefore, naturally, they're going to use it anyway, and we're going to get mad about it. It's a classic profits versus customers battle, and let's just say I won't be holding my breath waiting to see who wins. Next, I thought we'd take a step back and just examine briefly how the slop affects other businesses, like streaming services, for example. I'm sure it has not escaped your notice that for years, practically unchecked, streaming services have been multiplying and spreading like wildfire despite somehow managing to not innovate anything or do anything better. You ever wonder why or how? Well, it's because at scale, their business models all rely not on providing actual good content, but by tricking customers and draining them of money as quickly as possible before they notice that all they're getting in return is slop, and in fact, it's slop all the way down. For a while, everywhere you looked, there was some new streaming service popping up demanding that you throw more money at it for no other reason than, ooh, it's got the new Squid Game or Tiger King or Apple Slop show on it. And in rare instances where whatever that, quote, new show everyone is watching, unquote, was actually good, what were people left with after those shows ended? Yeah, nothing. Slop. Because corpos can't help themselves. They saw streaming after Netflix finally managed to make it actually work, and did what corpos immediately do. they tried to make a cheap knockoff. Did they try to innovate further? Perhaps figure out a way to provide more value to customers, a better product? No, of course not. They all just tried to slopify it. And since we all know corpos are little more than enormous sacks of filth stuffed with writhing insects and greed, they immediately, over-slopified it. As a result, customers fled. Other corpos see that, and boom, more copycats show up to try to scoop up the fleeing customers. Oh no, come over here, we've got the new show. Customers go watch the new show, whether it sucks or not, doesn't matter. They're eventually stuck over on that streaming service until, once again, they realize, it's all slop over here too, and then they flee, looking for another service where yet again they get scooped up by the next copycat, so on and so forth. Again, just like with AI and other shortcuts, attracting customers not with quality, but quantity. Don't make one good show, make a billion fucking shitty shows. No, don't make one really good game, make a whole bunch of garbage games all using AI because we can do it super cheap now. Will customers like these shows and games? No, of course not. But who gives a shit, because we'll have their money by the time they notice. How many people y'all think stayed sub to insipid, insulting garbage shovelers like Disney Plus after everyone realized those Marvel shows were trashed? Could Disney and Marvel have avoided that exodus by simply making those shows good instead? Maybe making one or two really good shows instead of 50 slop shows? Sure, but it would have cost them too much money to support whatever absurdist greed-mongering profit margin they insisted upon. They never even considered the making a few but good shows method. In fact, they planned on doing the opposite. This process, of course, repeats until some facsimile of a viable alternative, at least value-wise, appears in the market. Oops, did Disney Plus just lose all their subscribers to Tubi or fucking whatever? Yeah, but who cares? We made enough money so that it doesn't matter. Anyway, eventually they'll realize that Tubi sucks too, and they'll leave that and go back to something else. We'll catch them when they come back around again with our next batch of 10 Marvel slop shows. No big deal. In fact, it's cheaper this way. Now, we've seen this process repeat in all different kinds of industries until eventually some facsimile of a viable alternative, at least value-wise, appears in the market. In the movie and TV arena, this looks like a return to physical media for some people, and for others, running stuff like Plex servers. In video games, this manifests as the creation or flourishing of markets like the recent rise of indies. Geez, this is a conversation and a problem that will sadly likely never end, at least as long as the endless commodification of every scrap of human endeavor is what society chooses to prioritize. And as long as we have the internet, and now with the help of AI, it'll always be cheaper and more profitable not to just make something good, but instead to make a lot of slop and then merely gaslight customers into believing something obviously terrible is good. It's pretty simple. The rise of AI in entertainment, especially video games, is just the latest manifestation of a long-standing systemic problem. Corporations prioritize profit over quality. Historically, businesses have always sought the cheapest way to extract money from consumers. In the past, making high-quality games, movies, or shows coincidentally aligned with profit. But technological shortcuts, first social media, then sequels, nostalgia mining, and now AI allow companies to cut costs even further, producing ever lower quality products, what we've charmingly dubbed slop, while still maximizing revenue. AI, as horrible and nauseating as it is little more than just the newest, most extreme shortcut that corpos are taking. That's why it seems like everyone's noticing it so much. It benefits corporations financially, but degrades the quality of creative work, breaking the natural alignment between consumer desires and corporate incentives. Customers hate it, corporations love it. And while, yeah, conflicts between profit and art are inevitable, I don't actually think all hope is lost. As the slop tide rises, so do the levees, my friends. Myself and a few of the homies have actually started collecting laser discs again. You might want to try it. It's actually super fun. Local bookstores are even coming back. Vinyl is on the rise again. Fuck, I've even seen people collecting VHS tapes again. Physical media and indie games are actually enjoying a resurgence right now, and they're more popular than ever. So I'm actually gonna end here on an unusually positive note. I actually don't think that we're cooked here. Maybe for the moment, but certainly not long term, geez. For the soul of humanity will always rage endlessly against the rising of the slop. Whew, and that's our show. Yes, indeed, my G's. Things are in tip-top shape. It's a good thing that we have each other to help us live through this latest unprecedented horror show. And on that note, thank you all so much for chilling with us tonight, spending this little bit of your free time here, and enjoying our inaugural 2026 episode, the beginning of Degreelessness Season 7. Oh my god. I hope we put a smile on your face and maybe help you laugh a little instead of cry. We love you today, we love you all the way, and we will be back next Friday to help everyone once again sort out the rage from the ruins.
Just woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm pass out, woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down, what? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out.